Now the news in full. Ogun State government has concluded arrangement to introduce gas fueling system for transporters in the state to reduce emission of carbon dioxide. Governor Abeokuta disclosed this during a town hall meeting with members of Transport Union from Ogun Central held at June 12 Cultural Center, Kuto, Abeokuta. Governor's office correspondent Yusuf Ganil now reports.
The June 12 Cultural Center, Kuto Abeokuta, was filled to the brim as Governor Abeokuta hosted members of the transport unions in Ogun Central Senatorial District, particularly the taxi and bus drivers. The meeting was to ensure easy and safety ride on the roads. The governor explained government is trying to make use of the gas pipeline that passes through the state from Delta State to neighboring countries as part of its Ogun Green project towards ensuring that motorists use alternative fueling to reduce environmental pollution as it applies in other parts of the world.
They are our, I'll call them ambassadors. We can call them those that will help us in further disseminating and preaching the gospel of what their administration, because these same group of people are very fundamental to the success that we enjoy today. So they are a very important group and they are very important stakeholders in the Ogun project. From time to time, we must sit down with people like this and share with them what the administration has done for the avoidance of doubt and further solicit from them what we want them to do. We want them to utilize those roads responsibly. We want them to drive safely. We want them to continue to be our ambassadors. We want them to know what their needs are, what can we do for them that will continue to make road transportation more safe and more efficient.
While thanking them for their support at the last election and since the inception of the current administration, Governor Abeokuta hinted that government has looked inwards to introduce a transportation scheme whereby transporters would be assisted with hired purchased vehicles to enhance their business.
We want to begin to ensure that our vehicles are utilizing other sources of fuel that will reduce the amount of emissions, that has been largely responsible for global warming. So we're starting with our transportation sector. As a matter of fact, what I said to them was, not only am I going to provide them vehicles, those vehicles, including what they have now, we're going to start the conversion of some of those vehicles through a pilot project. They'll be using a combination of gas and fuel, but they only use fuel to start the vehicles and gas will take over. The first set of kits will be arriving in the next maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So we'll start with some buses, some trucks, and some taxis.
The State Commissioner for Transportation, Engineer Gbenga Dairo, as well as other leaders of the unions, commended the governor for his effort at improving the socio-economic development of the state, promising that they would ensure that its second term in office is guaranteed.
We're investing in the transport sector. So as he has said today, all the transporters are representatives of the people. They should go back to their grassroots to go and inform people of the good things they're getting from this government. And eventually when they get these new vehicles, they will have to look after them. They'll have to improve their customer relationship with their passengers.
The meeting with the transport unions continues. Yusuf Ganiyu, OGTV News.
No fewer than 100 students of Oru Ijebu in Ijebu North Local Government Area of Ogun State have been given scholarship by the Secretary to the State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi. This is in furtherance of various initiatives to lift people out of poverty and agenda self-actualization for youth in Oru Ijebu, Ijebu North Local Government Area of the state. He made the declaration at an interactive meeting with youth of Oru at the Oru Ijebu Town Hall, adding that the scholarship is another of various initiatives he has put in place towards enhancing the economic and social prospects of people of his hometown. Talabi said already the Abeokuta-led government has done a lot for Ijebu North local government in infrastructure development, saying no fewer than 5 major roads have been constructed there, just as some of the youth have been recruited through the Ogun Teach scheme.
a ti ṣe àwọn scholarships kan àti pé Professor Banjo ṣẹmọ Professor Banjo Taswed VC òun ló wà ní in charge kìíní yẹn sì ní lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí sì we are doing 50 people tí wọ́n máa fún ní scholarship yẹn.
He encouraged the youth to key into the various employment opportunities and initiatives of the state government, including the Okowo-Tapo, which had already generated turnover of over 500 million naira, adding that the present administration has recruited 2,000 teachers under the Ogun Teach scheme and wants the youth to take full advantage of it as more are to be recruited by the government. Talabi also assured that the government will look into reviving and refurbishing the customary court in Oru, after which magistrates and other judicial staff will be deployed to the area. At the interactive session, the youth who took turns to speak requested for more road constructions, including Awolowo Panoda Road, employment opportunities, resuscitation of the magistrate and customary court in Oru, provision of transformer, as well as clear-cut delineation of the borders between Oru and Agoiwoye. The ruling All Progressives Congress APC has inaugurated its women's presidential campaign team. Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Buhari is the grand patron, wife of the presidential candidate Oluremi Tinubu, a three-term senator representing Lagos Central and former First Lady of Lagos State, and that of the vice presidential candidate, former First Lady of Borno State, Nana Shatima, will serve as chairperson and co-chairperson respectively. Bumi Adigun completes the report.
Presidential candidates of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, arriving at the venue of the inauguration of the women campaign team of his party, amidst cheers from members who might have been seeing him for the first time after his arrival from his London trip. It is the inauguration of members of the women campaign team into various committees as the party prepares to flag off its presidential campaign officially any moment soon. The event has in attendance bigwigs of the party from across the country, including President Muhammadu Buhari, who was represented by his Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. The campaign list contains names of 944 high-profile women, wives of prominent APC politicians. Also at the event are the presidential candidates of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his running mate, Senator Kashim Shettima, the national chairman of the party, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, First Lady Aisha Buhari, the wives of the candidate and his running mate, Senator Remi Tinubu and Mrs. Nana Shettima.
I urge you all to intensify efforts at mobilizing women in your respective domains and prepare to receive us in your states and zones as part of our campaign activities. I urge you to also work with other capable women who are not here with us today as members of the campaign team, but have the energy, skills, network, resources, and commitment required to mobilize women for the upcoming elections.
Once you have your strategy in your hands, and what is your strategy? Your strategy is your ability and your capacity to convince the electorate.
This is therefore a clearing call, and I would like to state on behalf of Nigerian women that we will no longer support or vote blindly in the coming 2023 general elections. We will vote the person we trust and believe that he will remember women when he's in office. And we trust the Tinubu Shettima ticket that they will not fail Nigerian women.
Others are the chairman of the Presidential Campaign Council, Governor Simon Lalong, Governors Hope Uzodinma, Abdullahi Ganduje, women leader of the APC, Betta Edu, other leaders of the party, National Assembly members, and others.
The People's Democratic Party (PDP) has flagged off its presidential campaign in Uyo with 5 state governors of the party missing from the event. The party's official flag off, which is coming barely 4 months before the February 25 presidential election, took place at the Nest of Champions Stadium in Uyo. At the flag off ceremony, 5 state governors were absent, namely Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, Samuel Atam of Benue State, Okeze Peaso of Abia State, Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State, and Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu State. Recall that the 5 state governors recently pulled out of the party's presidential campaign team after the party failed to meet their demands for the removal of the national chairman, Uyoche Ayu. Present at the campaign launch included PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, his running mate Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, and PDP national chairman Dr. Uyoche Ayu. Leading PDP heavyweights and faithful, including the National Working Committee members. So there, the news continues. The lingering crisis between the federal government of Nigeria and the Academic Staff Union of Universities has assumed a dramatic twist, with an appeal court order asking the lecturers to return to work. Bumi Adigun, in those special reports, gives an update of what the situation has become now.
It is now 252 days that academic activities in Nigeria have been grounded as a result of ASUU strike. The judiciary, which is vested with the authority to interpret the laws of the country, has given judgment on the industrial action embarked upon by tertiary institutions lecturers on February 14 this year. In its ruling on Wednesday, September 21st, 2022, the court held that the striking lecturers must return to the classrooms, but that verdict had only helped to galvanize the resolve to the discontented lecturers to further dig in their heels.
Honorable Court granted them a conditional leave to appeal, provided today they must obey the order of the National Industrial Court made on the 21st of September, ordering them to return to classroom. You heard the court considering the interest of students who had been locked out of school and educational infrastructure that had been locked down for the past 8 months, and saying that order of the National Industrial Court must be obeyed today, and upon proof of compliance of that order, they can file a notice of appeal. We had made the point that there was no appeal before this court.
In the midst of this, the federal government presented certificate of registration to the Congress of Nigerian University Academics, a separate body of academic unions.
Environment in the university so that the students are brought back to school through the vice chancellors, and we continue to teach them. Once again, we appreciate you, the Honorable Minister.
While President of Academic Staff Union of Universities uses every opportunity he has to address the situation, arguing that what they are fighting for is not personal.
Regulations. About 6 years ago, the NUC, because if you look at the accreditation procedure, the guideline, it's nothing. Every university will pass through. And we were challenged to develop for them, and we did. It was never implemented. If you can have a visiting lecturer score half a point, so if you have 10 visiting lecturers, you already have 5 lecturers. Is that correct? But they are not acted upon.
Professor Ibrahim Bajabiamila is the vice chancellor of one of the private universities in Nigeria and a parent who also feels the effects of the face-off.
As a top 10 oil producer, how have we been able to let our parents and our children benefited? And they've seen no benefit. In fact, they've seen the reverse. And that's why this issue of whether it should be a court or not is a retrogressive step, because we're all human beings. If you are unable to pay people their worth, they are wanted elsewhere. And that's why the issue of brain drain to America, we're losing all our health professionals, is because they're paid 10 times, 20 times their current salary.
In a related development, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU's 2 months suspension of their strike will lapse in the next 20 days. And they are also on the line, if federal government fails to honor the agreements, they may go back to strike.
And we are waiting to see what will happen in the 20 days. We have written reminders to notify them of the issues and the agreement that was reached. There was an agreement that was reached, and it was an agreement that was voluntarily entered into. Nobody was coerced, and it was not under duress. So we are waiting to see what will happen in the next 3 weeks.
In all, the students are at the receiving end of the crisis, and their hope of attaining their dreams is getting dashed daily. Bumi Adigun, OGTV News.
We are now being joined by a legal practitioner, Barrister Thomas Akintuboa, to take a legal look at the current situation of the federal government versus ASU strike. Barrister, you are welcome to OGTV News.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
There is now an appeal court order asking ASU to go back to work. Is there any other option left for the union?
They don't have any option other than to comply with the court order. Once they have submitted themselves to the jurisdiction of the court, then they are bound to obey the order of the court. And the court has given them 7 days within which to appeal against the decision and also to call off the strike. If they fail to do that, that will amount to disobedience to court order.
What if ASU decides to go to the Supreme Court? What is the implication?
Well, they cannot go because appealing to the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal has given a condition precedent to granting that leave. That is, they must call off the strike embarked upon by the ASU before they can be granted leave to appeal. So if they go to the Supreme Court without obeying that order, then the Supreme Court will have no jurisdiction to entertain that appeal. That is the legal implication.
We have so many recent developments now, and one of them is ASU has commended the House of Reps for intervening in the crisis. What do you have to say to this?
Well, I think sometimes it is better to judge than to war. So it means that we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
To prevent future occurrences, what can be done to stop federal government and ASU having this problem?
Well, I think the basic thing to do is to have good governance. That is a government that takes education seriously. Because when you look at it, people will think that ASU are just fighting for salaries and their financial benefits. But what they are fighting for goes beyond financial benefits to the lecturers. They are talking of, financing the educational sector. For instance, you go to some of the universities, you go to their library, it is an eyesore. Go to their laboratory, you will find no laboratory equipment. Then, probably there are some courses that are practically maybe 70 or 80% based, in which the students need to physically know what they are being taught in school. But you find out that, okay, for instance, you find graduates of mechanical engineering not knowing what is called a cylinder, not knowing what is called a gasket, but only in theory. That is too bad. That is not what is found in other climates where educational sector are properly funded. So to preventing all these things, we need a government that will take education seriously, because the best and easiest way to destroy a country is to destroy the educational institution. And once you do that, then there's nothing left for that country.
So what is the way out now with what I've just said now?
I said good governance. Having people who are committed to the development of education in the country. You see, when you go to other advanced countries, they take their educational sector, they take it very seriously. Most of these things, development you have in the Western world, they are products of researches carried out by the academics. Recently, 3 economists were selected for Nobel Prize. And these are people that were from, institutions that made researches which has a beneficial effect on the country economy. So we need them. We need to motivate them. We cannot just allow them to be dying or to be, going outside the country and for other countries to be benefiting from what we ought to be benefiting from. Now, for instance, most of our good lecturers are no longer in this country. Exactly. Look at the medical doctors. They leave this country every day. Yeah. While the people are suffering. So if we have good government, we have people who takes education very seriously, then all these crises there will be an end to it.
But we know that government is not relenting in its effort.
The effort of the government is not enough.
Are you sure?
Yes, because when you look at it, what is the percentage of the budget that is allocated to the educational sector? This is a physical thing that we can see. When I went to my former school and I entered the library, I felt sorry because you get there, you cannot see modern textbooks. All the books there are books in the 60s. They are not replaced.
But Barrister, you will agree with me that the art of governance is a collective responsibility.
Of
government
course.
alone cannot do it. So we just have to support the government in doing this.
That is why we should stop deceiving ourselves. When people come out, I will provide you free education from primary to university level. You see, the earlier we start telling ourselves the truth, the better for us. It's not everybody that should go to the university. Okay. Some are better going to vocational institutions, like polytechnics, technical colleges, where they will make better impact in society. But it's where now you don't recognize somebody who does not have a university degree. So everybody wants to go to that university and get a university degree, which ought not to be so. Most people that carry out or develop maybe some of these things. Okay, let's take for instance the man who is in charge of Facebook or whatever. Does he have any university degree? He doesn't. So that is why we should tell ourselves. For instance, the government is still financing postgraduate education in this country. Yeah. That should not be done again.
Just to encourage them,
we have to be realistic that the government alone cannot do this thing. The parents too, we have to contribute, the government will contribute, but the situation we have for political reasons. You now tell people you are offering free education from primary to university level, and then you now set up universities that are just glorified secondary schools. It calls for a concerted effort for us to chart a way forward so that we can have a better educational system in this country. Go to some of the schools now. You have 20, 30 students living in a single room. How can the student concentrate? Living in a 12 by 12 single room.
We shall get there. Lastly, the cheering news is that ASU, through its counsel, Femi Falana, says in a matter of days they're going to call off the strike. Hope there won't be any legal implication.
No, I think the legal team will advise ASU better. Because there's no way they can go to the Supreme Court without complying with the order of the Court of Appeal. So the best thing for them is to, call off a strike and not forget that some political elements have also intervened. What they are saying is that you call off this strike, continue with your negotiation in the interest of the country, in the interest of students. Students sitting down home since February. Some of them have gotten, have been impregnated. Some of them have forgotten what they are doing. Some of them have even traveled out of this country. So what are we fighting for? So it is better that they call off this strike so that we can move forward.
Okay. Thank you so much, Barrister, for coming on.
It's my pleasure.
News.
Thank you very much.
So next time when we call on you, we hope you will oblige. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The news continues. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has hailed the House of Representatives for its intervention in the protracted crisis between the university lecturers and the federal government. The president of ASU, Emmanuel Oshodeke, said for the first time ASU has seen light at the end of the tunnel. This is just as the Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, who briefs the leadership of ASU about his meetings with President Muhammadu Buhari over the crisis, said he expected that the strike would be called off in matter of days. Meanwhile, Counsel for the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Femi Falano, on Monday stated that his clients were ready to call off the strike. In a text message, the senior advocate of Nigeria also called on the federal government to fast-track and finalize its negotiations with ASU. He expressed confidence that the meeting between the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, and the presidency over the matter will yield positive results. Adequate budgetary allocation geared towards national policy on food and nutrition in Nigeria has been identified as panacea to poor nutrition in Nigeria. National President, Nutrition Society of Nigeria, Professor Wasiu Afolabi, gave the advice while speaking on OGTV Current Affairs program, Hot-Seat.
Have a multi-sectoral plan of action for nutrition, for food and nutrition. A national multi-sectoral plan of action for food and nutrition, which arose from the national policy on food and nutrition. And in that plan of action, there are mandates of all the ministries that I enumerated earlier for them to carry out specific responsibilities that will lead to reduction of malnutrition, that will lead to healthy eating, healthy living, so that people can get the benefit from the food they are eating, including safe food. So that policy is on ground now. And part of the effort that we are making as society and other stakeholders is to ensure that government is committed to making provisional budgetary allocation to those activities in each of the ministries. We have a National Council on Nutrition, which is being headed by the Vice President of the Federation, Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
The full interview comes up tomorrow, 11th of October 2022 at 9:30 in the morning. The National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control has warned importers, distributors, retailers, and consumers to avoid the importation, distribution, sale, and use of substandard cough syrups made in India. NAFDAC regulates and controls the manufacture, importation, exportation, distribution, advertisement, sale, and use of food, drugs, cosmetics, medical devices, packed water, chemicals, and detergents. The World Health Organization at October 5 issued a global alert over 4 Indian-made cough syrups linked to the death of 66 children in the Gambia. The 4 products are promethazine, oral solution, Cofmalin baby cough syrup, Markov baby cough syrup, and Maghrib in cold syrup. The global health body alerted that the stated manufacturer of these products is Made in Pharmaceuticals Limited, Ayana, India. To date, the stated manufacturer has not provided guarantees to the WHO on the safety and the quality of these products. Speaking with newsmen, NAFDAC resident media consultant Shayo Akitola said the products were not registered by NAFDAC, therefore should not be in circulation. The 10th day of October of every year has been set aside as the World Mental Health Day, and it presents another opportunity to look at the treatment and management of mental health challenges in Nigeria. Matthew Shoumi in this special report takes a look at issues surrounding mental health, treatment and stigmatization people with mental health issues face in society. His report.
The hustling and bustling for sustenance, the challenges of life, economic downturn, trauma, mental and emotional stress, including accidents, are the basic features of human survival, which not only affect the physical well-being of the people, but also sometimes their mental health, apart from the self-induced conditions resulting from substance abuse. The stigmatization and isolation that are often the loss of the people with these conditions have greatly compounded the problems associated with the management of mental health issues. This had indeed necessitated the setting aside of a day to focus attention on the problem with a view to addressing it.
The theme for this year is make mental health and well-being for all a global priority. What it means is that for you as an individual, your mental health is important. Take steps to take care of your mental health.
Everyone in the world and in Nigeria, and especially in Abeokuta here, where we are, should be aware of mental illness, and we should all gather support those who have mental health issues.
Because of the stigma in Nigeria, many people don't want to come out for treatment, and where the treatment is even available, like psychiatric hospitals, they don't have enough facilities, they don't have enough experts.
The people believe a lot could still be done by various stakeholders to provide easy access to the treatment of mental health issues, and called on the society to stop the stigmatization of those with mental conditions.
For 17 years, we run psychiatric hospital. By the time I was retiring, we have added more. We added the Calabar Psychiatric Hospital, the Enugu Psychiatric Hospital, Kaduna Psychiatric Hospital, Maiduguri Psychiatric Hospital, and Sokoto Psychiatric Hospital. Today, in those centers, apart from in teaching hospital, those centers are there for people that are mentally sick. And the welfare of the people that are sick, the stigma that when somebody is sick, you don't want to see them, we try and release that.
Should, as much as possible, take care of this area, and I think there should be more awareness, as well as asking people not to hide the finger that hurts.
At every local government now, 2 health centers, one in the rural and one in the urban. An individual can go there to seek mental health facility.
Another time for the world to remember those with twisted perception of reality, personality disorders, and help them in their conditions. Matthew Shoumi, OGTV News.
Secretary to Ogun State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, has felicitated Professor Bolade Oshinowo, former Chief of Staff to President Olusegun Obasanjo, as he turns 73. Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, who was at the special birthday Thanksgiving service for the septuagenarian at Emmanuel Anglican Church, Ojowo, Ijebu-Igbo, said Professor Oshinowo is a great inspiration to his people and one with exemplary character. He extolled the doggedness and excellence of the celebrant that earned him one of the coveted leadership positions in the nation.
Torí pé ó ní bí mo ṣe rí wọn lọ́sẹ̀ tó kọjá àtọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá lọ́hùn, mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé Ọlọ́run ṣì wà lórí ìtẹ́ Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ sì fẹ́ kí wọ́n pẹ́ fún wa jù wọ́n ti pẹ́ èèyàn kò sí bí èèyàn ṣe lè pẹ́ tó kò sẹ́ni tó fẹ́ fi ẹni tó bá fẹ́ràn kò sẹ́ni tó fẹ́ fi ilẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n bí mo ṣe ń rójú wọn sìn ó dàbí pé àṣẹ̀sí máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ another 10 years. Praise the Lord.
Elsewhere, Mr. Talabi charged Christians to imbibe the principle of sowing and harvest. He stated this at the maiden edition of the Ijebu North Anglican Diocesan Harvest held at the St. Matthew's Cathedral Anglican Church, Ojowo, Ijebu, and urged members to continue to ensure the sow seeds of good deeds, sacrifice love, and render help that will make others better. In his sermon, the Bishop of Ijebu North Diocese, Right Reverend Solomon Kukponu, in a sermon titled Bountiful Harvest, noted that there are physical and spiritual harvests, saying whereas the physical harvest is earthly, the spiritual harvest is the one that takes place in heaven. Bishop Kukponu admonished the people to sow good seeds of love and financial investment in the vineyard of Christ, saying God can never bless emptiness or the empty-handed in God's work. The 7th remembrance anniversary of late Chief Comfort Ogunbanwo was marked by the usual Widows Empowerment Program by her son, Honorable Femi Ogunbanwo. Ayodeji Olumi was present at Honorable Ogunbanwo's family house in Odogbolu local government area, venue of the event. His report.
According to the holy books, it was mandated to cater for the widows. To this end, this gathering was dedicated to widows from 3 local governments in Ijebu Central Federal Constituency to celebrate with Honorable Femi Ogunbanwo on the 6th Empowerment Program to commemorate his late mother, Chief Comfort Ogunbanwo. Honorable Femi Ogunbanwo, the APC Federal House of Representatives candidate for Ijebu Central, said the initiative was to ease the struggle of single parenting.
Òṣèlú gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe máa ń sọ obìnrin ni mo mọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìyá obìnrin náà ni mo tún wá mọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí bàbá tó mo mọ rírì obìnrin nínú ìgbésí ayé mi tá bá rántí wọn mo fẹ́ máa rántí opó.
Many commended the initiative of Honorable Femi Ogunbanwo as they agreed it is a way to complement government's efforts at alleviating poverty.
This is a yearly program to celebrate the widows in remembrance of his mother. I think it's a laudable program, and as you can see, all the widows are also happy.
What he's doing right now is very commendable.
Something that we should be doing openly and regularly. It's something that is worth doing. It's something that he has been doing before, so I'm not surprised.
What he's doing today is not new. He has been doing it before, and I hope it's something that's going to continue.
I want everyone to use opportunity to commend him.
Some of the widows appreciated Honorable Femi Ogunbanwo for his support.
Dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ọ̀nàrẹ́bù o nítorí pé ìrànlọ́wọ́ gidi ló ṣe fún wa yìí o Ọlọ́run á dẹ̀ máa ràn lọ́wọ́ o gbogbo àwọn nǹkan ìní ẹ̀ ìrere ló máa já sí gbogbo nǹkan tó bá dáwọ́lé ìrere ló máa já sí o.
Dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ọ̀nàrẹ́bù torí oore ńlá náà ṣe fún mi bí wọ́n dé bọ́n ṣe dùn mí inú Ọlọ́run á dùn wọn nú ju bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ gbogbo tán bá ń dá lébà ó máa yọrí sí rere ní agbára Ọlọ́run wọn á délẹ̀ ìlérí.
Chief Comfort Ogunbanwo died on the 10th of October 2016 at the age of 86 years. Ayodeji Olumi, OGTV News.
Business news is next with Adebola Oshomoji. Join us shortly.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The gauge for world food commodity prices declined for the 6th month in a row last month, with sharp drops in the quotations of vegetable oils more than offsetting higher cereal prices. According to a new report by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations, the FAO Food Price Index averaged 136.3 points in September, down 1.1% from August, while remaining 5.5% higher than its value a year earlier. The index tracks monthly changes in the international prices of a basket of commonly traded food commodity. The FAO cereal price index, by contrast, rose 1.5% from August. International wheat prices rebounded by 2.2%, linked to concerns of the dry crop conditions in Argentina and the United States, a fast pace of exports from the European Union, EU, amid high internal demand and heightened uncertainty about the Black Sea Grain Initiative's continuation beyond November. Bearing any last-minute change of decision, the federal government will this week disburse $350 million cabotage funds with the inauguration of the special committee by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, as 11 banks have already been shortlisted for the purpose. Director General of the Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Bashir Jamal, gave the indication during a presidential media chat anchored by the Presidential Communications Team at the State House, Abuja. The Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund, CVFF, is an intervention fund specifically created to help develop indigenous shipping capacity in Nigeria. Jamal disclosed that 11 banks have so far been listed to disburse the fund, sourced from 2% contribution by indigenous ship owners from every contract executed in the nation's waters. It disclosed that NIMASA has trained about 2,041 seafarers in various institutions overseas, and of this number, over 800 have secured various jobs with other shipping companies abroad. Nigeria and Ghana signed a revised Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, to further strengthen existing cooperation between the capital market and foster harmonization of African securities markets. The agreement was signed by the APEC capital market regulators for both countries in Ghana. Director General Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC Nigeria, Mr. Lamido Yaguda, said both countries have enjoyed a long period of progressive and mutually beneficial brotherhood and partnership, with the same applying to both institutions, which resulted in the first MOU in 2003. According to him, the enduring relationship between the two jurisdictions is more amplified by the fact that Ghana and Nigeria both have the largest markets in the West African sub-region, and it will only be good for sightedness that they seize the advantage of their size and peculiarities to explore viable areas of cooperation. He said the revised MOU would usher in an era of strengthened strategic cooperation and mutual support in the regulation of the market towards the ultimate objective of enhancing their efficiency, transparency, depth, strength, and indeed global competitiveness. And to wrap it up on the business segment of the news, investors at the Nigerian equities market closed weekend with a net loss of 901.98 billion naira as increased sell-offs forced most stocks to close at lower prices. Benchmark indices for Nigerian equities closed weekend with average decline of 3.41%, equivalent to net capital depreciation of 901.98 billion naira. The bearishness depressed the average year-to-date to return to 10.85%. And that was business news. Back to Bukola for the rest of our bulletin.